JB here, JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Thursday, October 2nd, 327 on this fine afternoon. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from their S&P in the green here. Day two of the government shutdown. And it looks like back-to-back green sessions, all in spite of uncertainty, right? How long is this government shutdown going to last? What's the impacts to the markets? Things like that. Just I try to keep things half sarcastic and half serious, right? But it's just I wouldn't call it comical, but um yeah, so all indexes are up. We have yields are slightly in the red, so that's going in the right direction. And then gold's actually selling off today. Go figure. Only down 0.5%, but considering it's an epic rally at some point. Anyway, so talking about this morning the rant 660 to 671 and change. So 671.55 was the upper Bollinger Band on the SPY. Now it's 672 and change. So looking at that for possible resistance tomorrow. But tomorrow brings the jobs report. So we got 670.74 at the open. So we get the September jobs report tomorrow. Like I was saying this morning, the ADP report, which was negative and substantially lower than estimates, kind of pulled off the band-aid from any crazy surprise tomorrow, in my opinion. So I think maybe 20,000 jobs added somewhere in there might be uh, decent, right? But I would not be surprised if it's negative, maybe negative 25,000 jobs, negative 50,000 like the ADP report, and the unemployment rate maybe ticks up a tenth of a percent, right? I think if it's nothing too crazy on either side, markets should be fine. If there's major surprises, and to me, major surprises, I don't even, to be honest, if it's a major downward surprise, if it's 150,000 jobs lost, I mean, at first glance, people, oh, here we go. The slowdown that everybody's been warning about is coming. But then on the flip side, it's like, okay, the Fed, they cut rates because of that in September. And now it's the green light for the next meeting. And then possibly, hey, maybe that jumbo cut discussion will start rearing its head. I don't think that'll be the case. Hopefully it's nothing too crazy on either side of the spectrum. And markets can kind of hold their ground and maybe close at all-time highs into the weekend. Be pretty remarkable stuff. So that's kind of the overall markets here. SPY, let's see, this will be 5 days in a row. We'll see what happens here tomorrow, pending any last end of day shenanigans. S&P's up about 0.2% here. So just quick on some individual names. First I'll talk about Nike. So, the last 2.5 weeks been talking about trading Nike into earnings. And then looking at the premiums on the calls yesterday into earnings, the $80 strikes, the weeklies look kind of expensive on a risk reward basis, even if you went out to the monthly. So I didn't have high conviction in a huge beat and raise, and then it's more of a turnaround story than a growth story right now. Thankfully, I wouldn't say thankfully, I passed on getting some calls into earnings as a lotto, but then they posted a strong beat, and their guidance was kind of like in line. I think people are expecting more in the way of their guidance, so the stock kind of chopped around and found a bid in the morning, and it was slightly in the green at the open. What was it, up 2-3%? But yesterday afternoon, I was looking at it. I said, once it breaks 73.50, I think there's opportunity here for maybe a longer term melt to the upside. So I went and got those October 80 strikes. Then you had that KeyBank upgrade this morning, and KeyBank, it was kind of like they already had their price targeted. Was it 80? No, 90, right? But they just upgraded the stock. So I didn't know how much of a move it was gonna or impact it would have on the stock, but thankfully gapped and ran at the open. And by what time was it 10? Of course, I don't have my whole chart up here. Sorry, I always have charting issues here in the afternoon. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, so by 9:35, the stock was almost at $77 from the 75 open. So good for my calls. Locked some in for over 100% to cover some costs. And then I was holding, I figured I was going to hold on for the next couple of days for that move over 77 and beyond. I think I had on the watch list, I thought over 77. And then it just kind of muddled around, and then it's like a slow meltdown. No buyers came in, and boom, next thing you know, it goes green to red. So disappointing. And then you start looking further out and say, wow, if there was an opportunity for the market to say, hey, this is going to be a bounce story, today would have been the day, and it's not. It's like pretty telling, I guess you would say, that maybe right now is kind of wait and see, and maybe there'll be more opportunities down the road. I was pulling up the chart, and I think the 5-year chart, it's flat as a pancake for the last 5 years. So at some point that changes. I don't think Nike's like an iconic brand that I don't think it's going to go the way of some of these other names that have like permanently lost their luster. I don't think that's the case with Nike, but needless to say, I didn't want to see my profits evaporate, so I locked the rest of my calls in for a small gain, and then maybe at some point I'll revisit. But hold on a second. But that was Nike this morning. So then, slow choppy day today. Some other names I watch for bounces. Obviously, Reddit has been the one that I haven't been in for a couple of days, so I'm getting a little Reddit withdrawal symptoms, whatever you want to call it. And then finally, so it's chopping around. Let's see. Hold on a second. Ooh, sorry about that, folks. So it's chopping around 200, hanging there, and then I'm looking at the premiums on the strikes. I'm like the 220s. Normally on a Thursday afternoon, with Reddit trading at $200, the 220s would be 50 or 60 cents. Usually very high premiums on it. So I mean, sounds crazy with only 24 hours to expiration, but that's been kind of like the status quo with Reddit. And sometimes it keeps me out of getting some strikes. Today, I'm like, maybe this is the time that I was surprised this morning. No analyst came out and defended Reddit yesterday or after yesterday's 10% pull. There was no news, no catalyst, no explanation. It wasn't like the markets got destroyed yesterday. So it was kind of surprising to me. I don't know if that's, to me, I think it's a good thing because I think there's an opportunity that maybe one of those analysts come out tomorrow and either, upgrade the stock or defend the stock. But I couple that with the premiums. I said, wow, it's a great opportunity here for at least to try some lotto calls. So I got those 220s. I was hoping to get some out to cover costs into the close. Looks like that won't happen, but I'll just continue to hold those into tomorrow. It won't take much. If Reddit opens at 210 tomorrow, the 220s will be up 100, 200%. So that's kind of the thought process there. Like the risk reward there on a lotto. Let's see here. And, some other names here, XYZ, right? So I get those XYZ calls to start the week, similar to TTD, right? The trade desk, I got TTD calls last week on the Monday. Those didn't pay out. And then fast forward a week later, and the stock is over $50 on the next Monday, right? Hopefully the same thing does not happen here with XYZ. Got those 80 strikes. In the back of my head this morning, once it started to melt higher, I'm thinking, do I want to add some strikes into next week? I'll see how it trades tomorrow if there's some follow through. My call, I won't call it back to life, but they're not dead, right? So we'll see what happens here tomorrow. I mean, obviously they were pretty much dead yesterday, so they've come back from the dead, but still an opportunity here. It won't take much to another 2-3% gap tomorrow, and those will be into the green. So I'll just continue to hold those, and pending if there's some follow through, I'll add some more strikes there. So that's XYZ. Take a look at JOBY today, right? So my JOBY October strikes, which at times were 350, I think $354. I locked most of those in for a couple 100%. I've been just holding the last two, and some of it's a good thing, right? I mean, it stinks to see the premiums come out over the last couple of weeks, but it's kind of helped me from not chasing some of these bounces from 13, 15, bounce to 16, and back down to 14. So I definitely would have had a lot of losing trades on JOBY if I didn't have those October strikes. But fast forward to today, and those are back. Well, let's see here. They were flat earlier, but you pull up the chart. Let's see. I have my old trend line. So I have not updated this. So a lot of the reason I still use stock charts is the annotations, right? But this is that kind of channel it was stuck in or trading in, and it was an upward channel, a good one, right? But then it finally broke through, so I was kind of in wait and see mode. But now it looks like it's coming up through the other side, and strong 2 days. Uh, Almost looked like it was gonna head over $18 at the noon hour, but then back down to 1750. I was actually looking at January strikes, so we'll see what tomorrow brings. If it gets over $18 and holds, I'm gonna get some January strikes finally on JOBY, which I mean, Serve Robotics hitting highs in sessions here today. It's up 7.77% as I'm looking right now. I'm still just going to continue to hold my October and January strikes there. 1375 is the big spot for me on Serve. Um, let's see here. Cardlytics had news this morning, right? Some reason I missed it, but it looks like they're cutting like 150 jobs, saving $23 million. I didn't really dig too deep into the details, but I'm surprised it's not higher this morning. Well, this morning, and then it hit lows by like the noon hour. Started to bounce here. It's at 235. Still love the story here. Not going to add any more strikes just yet on that. Serve. I'm trying to think of something. Oh, Edit, right? So Edit, I had been trading the calls. I don't know if I had those back in July, but I have those January 5s. I think I got them at 35 cents, but they're back up to nearly being 100%. Let's see what they are now. But Edit's sorry, I'm all over the place here this afternoon. Yeah, so the edit fives are 55 by 60. The biotech sector was on a, let's see, was going bonkers yesterday. IBB was up over 2%. And then some of these names, the mega cap, the Regenerons, Biogen, all going bonkers. And then some of the other small caps, the Corbis, the Turns, those were all up 5, 6, 7%. And then Edit just keeps melting higher. So I'll probably just hold the January. As I was saying a couple of weeks ago, that I was looking at January 750s. But to me, I'll just continue to hold those January strikes. But like the Edit story, and then last but not least, here is GameStop. GameStop yesterday afternoon, I was talking about the November 40s. GameStop was like 27.70, couldn't hold that. It was bouncing between 27.50 and 27.70. And then this morning, what does it do? It gaps. It's gapping higher over 28. I'm like, oh, did I make a mistake not adding those November 40s? And then it did the same thing, sold off after the open, and now it just went, it just dove another 1.5% here. And you start looking at the November 40s, they were 69 by 70. And today, 51 by 60. So maybe tomorrow's the day. It's just surprising when you see Bitcoin rally, you think that GameStop would be at least moving in lockstep with it. You know, if Bitcoin's up 2%, you'd be like, it would make no sense for GameStop to not be up at least 2%. So it just boggles my mind. Anyway, let's have a great day, folks. I'll be back. Rock and roll.